and gentlemen, presenting the 235-member Michigan Marching Band. And take the field. Under the direction of Professor Jamie Elnis, the End Fanfare.
morning, everyone. Welcome back to Big Discussions 76 Sports. First of all, please like the stream, please share it, and please subscribe to my channel. If you want to donate to the channel, my Cash App is in the description box below. Good Sunday morning to you all. It was a late game last night, and I wasn't sure, based upon the outcome, if I was going to go live, but two buddies urged me to, yes, do it. So, as I always say, whether or not the home team wins or loses, content is content, and there's always something to cover. So we're going to go forward. I moved this up. I have brunch plans at noon, so I moved this down an hour to 9:30. I don't know who else is going to come in. I see we have some people in here early. I know some people are either probably asleep or hungover or going to mass or whatever your church service is. I watched church service at my church, and I said a prayer for Jimmy because Jimmy needs it right now. He needs the prayer. Though I think most of you all want to give him a kick in the rear. But it is what it is. Abdul Gaines is here. Let's read it so you all could see it. I have my tiki torch lit. Fire Harbaugh. Where is it? Yep. There was lots of this in our text group last night. As you know, Abdul Gaines is my unofficial show producer. Take another sip of my coffee there. So yeah, I was undecided if I was going to go live this morning, but content is content, and if your team wins, there's something to talk about, and if your team loses and gets shellacked, there's something to talk about as well. So I'm not gonna. I don't know if Alex is gonna come through this morning, but I'm not gonna go super long. I'm gonna, you know how I do. I like to give my little talking points and the things I saw from the game, and then look at the stats, and then I open it up and just kind of read through the vast number of comments. I suspect that there'll be quite a few today. Anthony Williams says, y'all got mopped. Y'all got mollywopped. Okay. Treppa Coles says, wow, I can't believe a Michigan team looked the way they did Saturday night under Harbaugh's leadership. And then Anthony Williams says, all that happened in front of recruits. Have to love it. So before I jump in, I want to say two things. As a YouTube content creator, it never surprises me the audacity of some of the commenters. My Don Brown video from this week about Don Brown being surprised, taken by surprise by the criticism he and the staff are taking. Someone left a comment under there saying, you could have done this video better, and you talk too much at the end of the video and at the beginning of the video, and you'd have more subscribers if da 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 da. So some of the commenters have a lot of audacity coming in, and it reminded me, as I was thinking about this, it reminded me of who here has seen American Beauty. Some of the commenters come into these videos like Colonel Fitz. They're just ready to fight you if they don't like how you make videos and they don't like how you make content, and they want to come in and fight you and just knock you down like Colonel Fitz did Ricky in American Beauty. So I just want to get that off my chest. Some of the commenters have a lot of audacity and a lot of balls coming into my comment section telling me how to shoot content. So making YouTube content is not for the faint of heart. Now that that's out of the way, we're going to jump into the game for a second. I just want to say, while Michigan football is the bedrock, is the rock upon which I built my church, quote unquote, Age of Ultron, I'm going to do some other things with the channel. I have some other things lined up. But we're still going to do Michigan content. But you're gonna see some other things kind of roll out, and I'm going to try to build the channel out in some other ways, some other creative ways. So just look out for that. And we're gonna, depending upon what happens with Jimmy, we're going to have a lot to talk about this spring, maybe even starting at the end of December and into January. But there's going to be a lot of Michigan content to talk about. Anthony says, all that happened in front of the recruits, have to love it. Gideon Starkweather, welcome. Hello, good morning. I liked that Don Brown video, actually aged well. Thank you, Anthony. Appreciate it. Okay. So now that that's out of the way, and I know you guys, especially you, Abdul Gaines, I know you want to start the Fire Harbaugh conga line. But before we start the Fire Harbaugh conga line, let's talk about last night's game. Let's see. I think Joe Milton gets benched. He transfers. Looked salty when Michigan scored with him on the bench. You're at home too. I really do believe the coaches have lost the team. I think Jim Harbaugh regretted not going with Dylan, set the program back. So, hey, that's a good point. Before we go over the statistics from last night's game and the actual breakdown of the quarters, you know what? I'm going to take it on the chin and say that, hey, maybe I bought too much Joe Milton stock early. Maybe all of that was premature. Maybe Alex was spot on when he said that there's a reason that, who was it? Urban Meyer went down to Florida and didn't offer Joe a scholarship. I'm not piling on the kid. Certainly, you have to have a certain amount of talent just to get a scholarship from a Power 5 conference, much less the University of Michigan. So I'm not piling on the kid. I can't throw the ball like that. I can't run like that. I don't have that athletic ability. But I'm just saying that after that first game, yes, Joe does look a little bit lost. And when we look at the stats, we'll see that he was not very effective in that first quarter. Actually, for pretty much the entire time Joe was in the game, he wasn't very, very effective. And you could see when the camera got on him, you could see what he was thinking. You could see, okay, how he's trying to reconcile his performance with what was happening in real time. And you could see that you could see how he was processing the whole thing. And then when you're an athlete, when you're the starter and you're underperforming and your backup goes in there and starts to move the ball and perform well, that's got to mess with your head a little bit. And when Cade McNamara got in there and moved the ball, hold on a second. Excuse me. Still got some flame in my ear. And so when Cade McNamara got in there and moved the ball right down the field with like 3 crisp throws, they put the camera on Joe, and as the starter who is underperforming and who hasn't lived up to the expectations, that had to, mess with him a little bit. So I don't know how you rebound from that. Obviously, Cade probably starts on the next game. But the other thing I thought about when I was watching that was maybe, we were, I've been very outspoken about maybe Joe or Dylan should have been given the opportunity to start 2 to 3 years ago instead of the whole Shea grad transfer thing. Excuse me. But maybe there's something that the coaching staff saw that we didn't see. Maybe up to this point, maybe there's something that the coaching staff saw that we didn't see in terms of the core. Excuse me, I don't know what's going on this morning. In terms of the quarterbacks they had in house, maybe there's something that they saw that we didn't see. I don't know. Let me look at some of the comments here because the comments are coming in. Thank you all for being here. I think if Joe gets benched, he transfers. Looked salty when Michigan scored with him on the bench. Yeah, that's got to be scary as the starter. You're at home too. Can't believe. I really do believe the coaches have lost the team. I think Jeremy Harbaugh regrets not going with Dylan, and this may have set the program back. You know what? That's a good point. Dylan was Shea's primary backup, and he did have more experience, and we never really saw Dylan throw the ball as much. But again, they might have made the wrong decision here, and I think that Jim's tenure has been plagued by the wrong decisions or questionable decisions at quarterback. Taylor Walston says, would this team ever beat Eastern Michigan? The MAC is pretty competitive. The way it's playing now, that's definitely questionable. I think Dex Stenhill will opt out and might transfer only. Well, when the whole thing is on fire and there is loss of faith in the coaching staff, you never know. Anthony Williams, Michigan put all their eggs in the Joe Milton basket. It looks like they've cost them the season. Might also cost them their number 10 ranked recruiting class in 2021. And bless you. Thank you. I was sneezing. Rick is here defending Joe Milton. He has no offensive line, no running game. It now looks like a mental thing with Joe. When Cade went in, Whiskey was in the prevent on the first drive, but Cade does have better touch. Okay, that's a good point. On this channel, I want to promote balance, a balanced perspective. So I know at some point, we're going to have the fire Harbaugh conga line, but I want to balance. This is nice balance. I think that's a good point. When Cade went in, he was probably throwing at a different defense than what Joe was throwing at for the first part of the game, though it does look like Cade has more touch on the ball than Joe does. Speaking of which, let me pick my ball up here. I've also got as always, my Harbaugh bobblehead, which is going to be a collector's item one day. Who's got it better than us? I know that's funny now, but my Harbaugh bobblehead is here. Okay, let's go over some of the stats from the game. So I'm going to enable my screen share so we can piece the crime back together. If you're new just coming in, please click the like. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. I was sitting at 443 when I started this. Likes and subs are free. All right, so let's take a look at last night's 49-11 beatdown at the Big House. So I like to go over the quarters first because I think that kind of tells the story at 30,000 feet. And then I like to go into the individual player statistics. So the Badgers came out swinging, and Michigan didn't swing back. And we're going to talk about why. So Wisconsin won the first quarter 14-zip. They won the second quarter 14-zip to go into halftime 28-zip. I like to believe that in most games there's a critical window where the other team has a chance to fight back and make it a game. But if they don't, and the other team keeps scoring, then it turns into an uphill battle in which the other team can't battle back. So, Michigan won the third quarter, 11-7. This is when Jimmy and Josh or whoever was making that decision decided to go with Cade McNamara, and Cade marched the team down the field with some pretty passes, and then they got the 2-point conversion. And then Wisconsin scored again. And you know what stood out to me about this third quarter was that the defense forced a punt by Wisconsin, but they roughed the kicker. Let me close this. But they roughed the punter, And I knew as soon as I saw them hit that punter, I said, okay, the flag is coming out. Wisconsin's going to get the first down. And sure enough, that's what happened. They got the first down and they marched the ball down the field for that touchdown. Okay. So, they got a little bit of momentum, the Wolverines did, and then they just gave it right back. But they were down, 28 zip at that point anyway. And then the fourth quarter, Wisconsin won that 14 zip. So let's look at some of the player stats. So keep in mind, Wisconsin was off. Well, they didn't play for 2 weeks. I mean, they were probably practicing and going through some drills, but they were off. They didn't play. But it looked like they just picked up where they left off after their blowout against Illinois. The quarterback stats for our team. So I was, my mentor called when the game first started, so I had the game on mute and I was listening to something that he was saying. But those 2 interceptions by Joe right here killed us. The first one was he threw at Nick Eubanks, and it went up off of Nick Eubanks' hands like that, and it dropped into the hands of a Badger defender. So that one, those interceptions are kind of, iffy. Joe may have put too much on the ball, which has been one of his criticisms up to this point. But that was his first interception. And when I saw that, I said, okay, this is not starting well for him. And then the second one, which I think was on the second series, I think Wisconsin was in some sort of zone, and Joe was looking at the wide receiver over near the sideline, and he didn't see that linebacker there. Or maybe he saw the linebacker and didn't put enough arch on that ball to get it over the linebacker, but he pretty much threw it to that linebacker. Let me look at the comments here. I know someone's commenting on that. And when he threw that second interception, I said, "Oh God, yeah, this is not going to go. This is not going good for him. It's not going good for our team." Let's see. I'll read the next one. Since the 2020 season started, I learned that Joe never had a quarterback coach or went to a quarterback camp. So I give him a slight pass because of that. That's bad if he hasn't had any of those. So Joe started off right away with 2 interceptions. And as the game went on, he wasn't really able to connect with anyone. He wasn't really able to connect with anyone. So he went 9 for 19. So we weren't getting anything out of the running game to offset this. And then he was basically throwing blanks for most of the night. So that's got to mentally eventually take its toll on him. There were some throws that he had Roman Wilson open for a touchdown. He just put too much on the ball. But Roman Wilson was open on one play. I do remember that. So those were points left on the field. But he went 9 for 19 for 98 yards. That's not going to get it done. So Cade McNamara came in, I think, partway through the third quarter, and he went 4 for 7 for 74 yards and the one touchdown to, I think, that was Mike Samerstill. Mike Samerstill made a nice catch in the end zone, and that was our only touchdown for the game. So those are our quarterback stats for last night's beatdown. Not very impressive. Unfortunately for Joe, we're not getting much out of the running game. So our Zach Charbonnet carried 3 times for 21 yards. Joe himself ran 7 times for 15 yards. And then the rest of the guys, Hassan Haskins, Blake Corum, AJ Henning, look at this. Pretty much nothing. Let's see. Chris Evans almost scored, but his knee was down, and he didn't break the plane when his knee was down. And Joe, that trip into the red zone to the goal line where we didn't get anything, that killed us. When you get that close to the goal line in the red zone, you got to come away with points there. So that hurt us. Our wide receiver core, in terms of their production, Ronnie Bell led 4 catches for 56 yards. Nick Eubanks 2 for 41. Giles Jackson 1 for 36. Mike Sainristil 1 for 23, and that 1 touchdown catch in the end zone. Chris Evans was caught 2 for 16, and Eric All caught 2 for 1. So they've been talking up Eric All a lot, about how much Jim likes him. He's a freshman, I believe, but he hasn't given us a lot. But he's a freshman. So on defense, yeah, they have we have a bunch of tackles. 1 sack. Carlo Kemp got 1 sack, but our defense was playing from behind for most of the game with no offensive production. So after a while, if that's happening to your defense against a competent offensive unit with a physical offensive line, your defense is just going to wear down. And that's after a while, you could see that. And I texted my group last night and I said, it's got to be hard being on that Michigan defense right now because you're not getting any offense. And you're just, at this point, you're just getting shoved around by that Wisconsin offensive line. And you saw that as the game went on and on. So it's got to be tough for those guys. Let's look at the Wisconsin side. So Graham Mertz went 12 for 22 for 127 yards and 2 touchdowns. He played an efficient game for much of the game. He was back there playing pitch and catch. Not, in terms of yardage, these aren't Rocky Lombardi or Michael Penix numbers, but again, it was efficient. He threw 2 touchdowns and he didn't turn the ball over. And I believe Alex said this was their 3rd string. I don't know, but in terms of rushing, they were hurting us on the ground. And as I said, after a while, our defense was just out there getting shoved around and blocked all over the place. So their leading rusher was Jalen Berger with 15 carries for 87 yards. Look at these numbers. Jalen Chenal, 6 carries for 71 yards. Nakia Watson, 12 carries for 65 yards. Danny Davis, 7 carries for 65 yards. Shimmery Dyke, 1 carry for 30 yards. So they did it by committee, but if you add all this up, they really, really gashed us on the ground. So, and many of their touchdowns came from the ground game as well, looking at this. In terms of their wide receiver core and tight ends, they had balanced production. Jake Ferguson went 4 for 4, caught 4 balls for 51 yards and 1 touchdown. Let's see, Shimmery Dyke, 2 receptions for 29 yards. Kendrick Pryor, 2 receptions for 27 yards. And I'll skip down here. This Mason Stokey, I don't know, caught 1 for 1 yard and a touchdown. So they pretty much had their way on offense. Let's see. Leo Chenal caught 1 of those Joe Milton interceptions. Scott Nelson caught the other one. And they were able to, let's see, Leo Chenal got 1 sack. Yeah. So those were basically the stats for last night's beatdown. Excuse me. I'm going to stop the screen share now. I'm going to look at some of the comments here. Ohio State going with Haskins over Burrow isn't as bad as Michigan going with Joe over Dylan. Haskins leads Ohio State to 13-1 season plus a Rose Bowl victory. That's from Anthony. Buckeyes are representing here on this Sunday morning. The game was a really bad look for the program, worse than the Michigan State Indiana losses combined. How could I miss? I missed some here. Joe Brady is looking very attractive. I think y'all can kiss JJ McCarthy goodbye. I believe that's a quarterback recruit. Also heard Donovan Edwards leaning towards Notre Dame. Can take a sip of my coffee here. Rick Van Buskirk says the really sad thing is Whiskey tried to stop scoring after 20 minutes and still scored 3 touchdowns. Alex usually comes in around this time. He's probably either asleep or doing something else. If anyone wants to come into the stream, I'm going to leave that in the chat right there. Jim Harbaugh might resign this week. I got him on quit watch. Okay, let's see if that happens. I didn't watch any of the post-game press conferences, but I imagine he's pretty much probably on damage control right now or some variation of that. Got to be hard to explain away what happened last night. I think the biggest, I think one of the biggest head scratchers of his entire tenure at Michigan has been the offensive side of the ball. I don't care what kind of defensive scheme you're running. If you don't have some sort of offensive production, your defense is eventually going to wear down. And that could be running the Wildcat, it could be running the 46, it could be running some sort of zone, but your defense is eventually going to wear down. Okay, so Trevor Cole says the game. Okay, I already read that one. The other Gaines brother is here. Raheem Gaines. Good morning, all. Abdul Gaines says, to follow a 17-point loss on the road with getting blown out by 38 points at home is an awful look, especially when the opponent hasn't played in 3 weeks due to COVID-19 issues. Denzel Merritt, man, honestly, I don't think Jim has been the same since the 2016 loss. It took a toll on Jim, and he hasn't recovered, and he won't. I was backing him the past years, no matter what, but this loss is it. I plan to shoot a video on that. I think he did recover from the 2016 loss. I think the revenge tour team was, this is all semantics at this point, but I thought the revenge tour team was his one other chance to go into Columbus and beat them and have win the East Division and make the playoff. But I don't want to sound like a broken record. You guys know how I feel about that. I felt like they did not. I felt like they mis-schemed in that game, and it cost everybody. That's just my opinion. But noticeably, after the 2016, to your point, Denzel, he didn't have that same fire. The first 2 years, it looked like he was having fun. He was, storming up and down the sidelines, acting a fool. And I think after 2016, and especially after 2018, we saw a more subdued, melancholy, less fiery Jim Harbaugh. So, which is unfortunate. Michigan is the new Northwestern. Richard Pavlik said that. Denzel Merritt. But the only thing is, who do we replace him with? Because I don't want to go back to the Carr days. Now, Denzel, that's an interesting point. That's a very, very interesting point. Abdul Gaines feels much the same way about Lloyd Carr. Abdul Gaines, as I told you guys, me and Abdul Gaines go back to high school. But Abdul Gaines would go on and on and on and on and on about how Lloyd Carr was a 3 to 4 loss coach every year, and the program needs to do better. But they put up, if you're watching last night's game, they put up a graphic at some point and showed how many players Lloyd actually developed and sent to the NFL by position group. You know what's funny about this picture is you can see Brady Hoke right there in the background. A young Lloyd and a younger Brady Hoke. But they put up a graphic last night showing just how effective Lloyd was in terms of developing players and sending them off to the NFL. And so for all of the beatings Lloyd Carr took over the years, I thought Lloyd was a good coach. I thought that things just kind of passed him by in terms of getting to the Rose Bowl was no longer acceptable. It was getting into the BCS title game, and Lloyd had some competitive teams. It just so happened it's kind of like a Michael Jordan thing. There were a lot of players who didn't get to win the NBA championship because Michael Jordan moved in. Michael Jordan set up shop in the Eastern Conference. And the same thing happened with Jim Tressel. If Jim Tressel hadn't come in with the Troy Smith teams, those are probably years that Lloyd wins the Big Ten and, perhaps gets into the BCS national title game. So do you want another Lloyd Carr? Lloyd never had seasons like this. And I know that at times, because I was in Ann Arbor as a graduate student, I know that at some point they were calling for Lloyd's head, but I don't remember something like this under Lloyd Carr. Trepper Coles says in a post-game interview with Harbaugh, he clearly stated the team was not good in any area. First time I've heard this from his mouth that I can remember. Rick Van Buskirk says, yesterday may have been the darkest day for Michigan football in my lifetime. Really darker than any of the Rich Rod days or darker than any of the Brady Hoke days, because there were quite a few days when under Brady Hoke's tenure, when Devin Gardner was running for his life and the team was getting shoved around visibly by Michigan State and, fighting for its life against teams like UConn and Western Michigan. But it's definitely, this definitely isn't a good time for the program. I will agree with you on that. Rick Van Buskirk says, Lloyd Carr was a great single game coach, but he really let the program slip as far as facilities and recruiting. Okay. You can elaborate on that in terms of facilities. Let us know. As far as the recruiting piece goes, in his last days, remember he had guys like Chad Henne and Mario Manningham and Michael Hart and Jake Long, and so he had some players. He had some players towards the end, in my opinion. Denzel Merritt says, personally, I think we should have got Lane when he was available, but that's just me. I'm assuming you're talking about Lane Kiffin. Now, if I recall correctly, Lane Kiffin, well, he certainly wasn't a good fit for Al Davis. But a lot of coaches weren't fits for Al Davis. I think he went to the Raiders under Al Davis. But Lane Kiffin was under Nick Saban for a little bit at Alabama. Where is Lane Kiffin now, by the way? I don't know where Lane Kiffin is right now. There have been a lot of coaches who have been speculated would be good replacements for Jimmy. I know there are a lot of coaches on the wish list right now for replacements for Jimmy. But so we'll see. What's Jimmy thinking right now? What's he doing right now in his home, sitting with his wife Sarah and his big family? What's he thinking right now? Or is he in his office at Schembechler Hall with his head in his hands like this, thinking, oh my God, what have I gotten myself into? Oh my God, how did we get to this point? I don't know. One of you guys said that we're on a quit watch for this week. I don't know. Let's see. Let's see how many games are left. Let's see what games are left right now. Let's look at the schedule. All right. So as of now, that was the halfway point. And so we're going downhill from here. I mean, literally, but also in terms of the number of games left. So next week we are at Rutgers. I mean, In past years, you would think that win was a gimme, but at this point, who knows? And then on November 28th, Penn State comes into the big house. And then if Maryland is cleared to play, they come into the big house on December 5th. And then in what might be the biggest bloodbath of all, assuming the teams are still playing and COVID hasn't blown everything over, this unfortunate team, Jimmy's team, has to go down to the Horseshoe, also known as the Snake Pit, for their final reckoning for the 2020 season. Let me see how many likes I have here. Give me a second. Hey, everyone, please get the likes up. I'm at 6. Please get the likes up for the stream. If you haven't subscribed to the channel and you're new, please subscribe. And so we're at 41 minutes. I'll probably take this for another 20 minutes, unless someone else comes in. I'm going to take this down and read some more of the comments. Let's see. Let's see. Worst I've seen Michigan play. Worse, wow, than the App State loss. Okay, now that's saying something because that was a dark day for the program and for the fan base, that loss to App State. I would argue, I would say there's some validity to that. I would also, and it's, I know folks will say, well, Ohio State's doing well and other programs are doing well, but there were some players some key players who didn't come back, like Ambry Thomas and like Nico Collins, and so there have been some key pieces that have that were lost from last year, and this has been an unusual year, but I can't disagree with that statement. Denzel Merritt said, "Who would you like to see coach us?" Well, this name has come up. Alex has been very. This is our Luke Fickell alert. It's our Luke Fickell alert. Alex said that there's no chance in hell that Luke Fickell comes to Ann Arbor. I just want to see the team be competitive. I want to see the team fight in every game. I want to see a level of competency on the field. I don't want to see the team sabotaging itself. I don't want to see the team rolling over and dying. I want to see some sort of leadership within the ranks of the players. And I think whoever can do those things, that's what I would like to coach the Michigan football team. So I don't know who that is. I mean, a lot of our fans want PJ Fleck. Some want Luke Fickell. Some want who's that? Tony Allen from Indiana. But the quagmire is, who could you get to come in and rebuild the program from where it is now? I mean, what quality coaches could you get right now, and who would be willing to come in here and do this, especially with the expectations being so high? Speaking of which, some people have said that the Michigan fan base is a bit delusional in terms of the expectations for the program. I don't know if that's true, but some folks have called our fan base delusional regarding expectations for the program. Let's see. Lloyd Carr. Okay, I already read this one. No way the talent is that bad. Give that same team to Urban Meyer, and what do you think would happen? Well, certainly Herb has a long track record of developing players. Herb has a couple of national titles. So Herb has a much better resume than Jimmy. Now, what's interesting is when Herb was at Florida, he had his run with Tim Tebow. But then when Nick Saban came to town and moved into the neighborhood, Florida kind of flatlined a little bit, and Herb, ducked out after that. But certainly, we've seen pretty much all of Herb's teams fight to the death. So I don't think that's what you want to see out of your team. And we're not seeing that right now, or they're just not as talented, or something is missing. He's thinking about going to the Jets. I think Abdul Gaines might have posted that on Facebook or something like that. So he may go back to the NFL, and he may go to the Jets and move into the same neighborhood as my Buffalo Bills. They need to go for Steve Sarkisian. Steve Sarkisian, hey, maybe that'd be a good choice for us. Steve Sarkisian was on Pete Carroll's USC staff out in Los Angeles before that whole thing ran its course. So we know that he can. I believe he was the offensive coordinator. He was one of the offensive coaches, right, with Norm Chow. But he's been in a winning program. And but the other thing is the head coaches have to pick a competent staff. There are multiple variables that go into being a good college football coach, developing talent, recruiting, and also hiring the right staff. And if any one of those goes bad, then the whole formula goes bad. If you're new coming into the stream, please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. If you want to make a $1 donation or whatever, I put my Cash App in the chat. Let's see. It's hard to believe that the people that created this mess will fix it. Good luck, old friends. Not going to kick you when you're down. So you'd have to. So now you're going up to administration and who hired Jim. So you're thinking about Mark Schlissel and Jim. What's the guy's name who took over as interim athletic director? Jim. He was one of both players. He was a businessman. His name was also Jim. I can't think of who the guy's name is, but he was the interim athletic director before Ward Manuel took over. Seemed like a nice enough guy. Let me see if I could pull this up really quickly. You guys keep commenting in there. I'll be right back. See if I can find it. Jim Hackett. It was Jim Hackett. There we go. Jim Hackett and Mark Schlissel actually hired Jim. But I think context is important. And at that time, we had gone through Rich Rod, and we know that there are reasons why Rich Rod's stay was not smooth. And then we went back to a Michigan man, and brought Brady Hoke back into the program because Brady was one of Lloyd Carr's assistants. And so I think at that point it was about getting in a coach who was a part of the Michigan family. And also I think what made Jim sexy was his NFL pedigree. He played quarterback in the NFL, and he had ties to the Michigan program. So I think that's what they were banking on at that time. And I think with Jim, and I've pointed this out in some of my videos, Jim seems to be really good at taking veterans who have underachieved or who haven't maximized their potential and then coaching them up and getting the best out of them. I think Jim's really good at that. But in terms of developing his own players up from scratch, he seems to not be as good at that. And I'm thinking about Alex Smith. Alex Smith struggled in the NFL for a number of years before Jim came along, and Jim got the best out of him before Jim gave the job to Colin Kaepernick. Denzel Barrett said, "We're losing the last 2 games. Tell me if I'm wrong." Let's take a look. Well, we know the last one is down at the Horseshoe. So Maryland and Ohio State. I hear Tua's brother, Alex, keeps saying that Tua's brother is a beast. So if Tua's brother is that good, then he may have his way with our defense if Maryland is cleared to play that game. Denzel says, and if he doesn't quit soon, he's going to quit after Ohio State. Yeah, that game could get particularly bloody. Don't be surprised if they lose to Maryland and Rutgers. Good morning, Lewis. Yeah, well, we'll see. You hope that they at least can beat Rutgers. Lewis Papp says Joe Brady. Okay, I'm getting confused with all the Bradys here. Is Brady a potential coach, or is that another quarterback? Rick says this is worse than before because Rich Rod wasn't in year 6. That's true. Rich Rod only went out to, I think, year 4 before Dave Brandon pulled the plug on that experiment and put Rich Rod out of his misery. Take a sip of my coffee here. I seen something that said we were trying for the offensive coordinator from Clemson. I'm not sure who that guy is, but that would be good because Clemson has a very competent and functional offense, which we don't seem to have right now. Rick Van Buskirk says Greg Brandon. So I'm assuming Greg Brandon is another coach on the wish list, the Christmas wish list. Santa Claus, bring us a new coach. Ford ex-CEO. I'm thinking what's going on, Dre? I'm thinking you're talking about Jim Hackett. Lewis Papp, he runs Ford now. Okay. Dre says he's not winning no more games. All right. Rick Van Buskirk says Jim is a great turnaround artist. This may be his longest stay of his coaching career. Yep. I don't think he wasn't at San Diego this long. He wasn't at Stanford this long. He was with the 49ers for what? 4 to 5 years. So this may be his longest stay at any stop. And this has got to be the hardest because of his emotional ties and his history with the Michigan football program. I mean, ideally, you want to go back to your alma mater and restore it to glory, but he kind of knocked at the door for the first 2 years, and then it's kind of slid downhill since. So it's got to be hard on him. John U. Bacon wrote a book about how Jim Harbaugh got hired. I'd read it. You might feel nauseated. Actually, give me a second. I think you're talking about this one. I have this book. I read this book. I've read so many books. I'd have to go back and look at the passage that you're actually talking about. But, at that time, as a fan, I remember 2015, 2014, 2015, Brady's teams were getting, bullied on the field. Devin Gardner was running for his life on most plays. So at that time, when you think about Jim going to the Super Bowl, and you think about Jim, when you thought about his success at Stanford, and you thought about how competitive his 49er teams were before the team got dismantled, yeah, I was excited about having Jim come back at that time. So it seemed like everything was going to work out. Let's see. Lewis says he was an offensive coordinator at LSU and now with the Panthers of the NFL. Lewis says, Brady, I'm talking about. Okay. I say let Josh get a year or two to see if he can do something. What do you think? Josh Gaddis. Okay. I don't know. What has Josh, since he's been here, now Josh has only been here, this is only Josh's second year. So Josh Gaddis is still very much an unknown commodity because the offense didn't look stellar last year, and we know how the offense looks this year. So that is a big question mark in my mind. Also, not sure why the mystique regarding a Michigan man, as the phrase originated with an Ohio guy. That's true. You know, the Michigan football program, a lot of this, what makes it cool, but what makes it also unfortunate is the history of the program and the Fielding Yost and the Benny Osterban and the Tom Harmon and the Fritz Chrysler, the history and the mystique around the program. You know, that's a big deal. So a lot of people are really invested in the whole Michigan man piece, but that may also be the bane of our existence because, as you just pointed out, Bo was originally from Ohio. So it could be that you need someone unknown from another state, from outside the Michigan family, quote unquote. We haven't had a real defense since Hoke's guys left. Drake, can you elaborate on that? Are you saying since Brady Hoke's assistants left, or are you saying since his players left? Because if you're talking about Chris Wormley and Ryan Glasgow and Mike McCraig and Jordan Lewis and Channing Stribling, I would agree with that. But then again, the Revenge Tour team, I thought that defense was good enough, but it against that Ohio State game plan, and then even before that, Indiana seemed that year, the 2018 season, Indiana seemed to have solved Don's defense. So I don't know, but I think Brady in general, I think Brady Hoke had good recruits, and so Jim was just able to do a little bit of plug and play once he got to Ann Arbor those first 2 years. Denzel Merritt says, "Yeah, I understand, but what do we have to lose if we let Josh run things? He doesn't have full control. He doesn't have full control like Jim. So give him the wheel and see if he can spin it." Well, hey, some of you guys, let me know. Would you be happy with, or would you be willing to sit back and watch a Josh Gaddis head coaching experiment in Ann Arbor? Let me know what you think. Dre says the 2016 players. Dre, you know what? I agree with that. That was where's my other John U. Bacon book? Yeah, one of the sins of that 2016 team is that it was talented enough to win that East Division and go out to Indianapolis and then make the playoff. It was talented enough, but you know, something Dan Deerdorf said in this book, which I recently read this week as I'm trying to finish it. and this book is 2 years old, by the way, but I read so many books. Dan Dierdorf said what I've said. The one problem with that 2016 team was the offensive line play in terms of the running game and closing out opponents on the ground. That was the one weakness in that team. They couldn't do it against Iowa, down in Iowa City, and they couldn't do it down in the Horseshoe. And if that team had been able to do that, they would have gone on to Indianapolis and they probably would have gotten in the playoff. But Grant Newsome got hurt, and Davion Smith wasn't an explosive back, and it is what it is. But yeah, that I think to your point, Dre, I think those players that Brady Hoke left Jim were good enough to get it done. But even if they had gotten it done, Jim would have still been faced with the challenge of reloading. And if he and his staff were in the upper tier, we wouldn't be having this discussion right now. Yakov. He's here. Give me a second, Alex. This is one of the best compliments I could receive as a YouTube content creator and someone who's covered Michigan football, especially with all the criticism I've received from some of the commenters under my videos. You are one of the most insightful commentators on all of YouTube. Yakov, I appreciate that, man. Fist bump, digital fist bump right here. Okay, so I'm gonna my wingman is here from Columbus. I'm gonna change to our background for the day, and then I'm gonna bring Alex up, and I think we're gonna start the Fire Harbaugh conga line when Alex comes up. So here we go. Good morning,
my brother. How are you?
What's going on?
Another day in paradise. Beautiful.
Hey, man. You know what? I'm gonna start off. I'm gonna give it to you in terms of Joe. You were the one to say that there was a reason that Herb didn't take him. You know what? I don't want to pile on the kid. But he did look lost last night. And the first interception went off Eubanks' hands. The second one, he didn't see that linebacker there. So anyway, go for it. What's going on?
Oh, I mean, I just think I think what I've said for a couple of weeks. I mean, you're seeing what I'm saying is that he's not a natural thrower of the football. They're betting the fact that he can't beat them with his arm. And when they're putting 8 or so in the box, making him try to throw, making him have to read defenses, he's not good at it. And I mean, you saw another kid come in, and the moment that I think his name's McNamara,
Kate McNamara.
Yeah. The moment that McNamara came in, you immediately saw that team turn. They flipped the switch. They're like, oh, he's in? Okay, we're good. Let's go. Which says probably one of two things. A, they know in practice how bad this kid is, or like what his limitations are. And I believe that maybe they made the choice of Milt starting was because they felt like maybe, I'm assuming here, I'm completely assuming, that if they open up the entire playbook, this kid can do everything in the playbook, right? He can run, he can throw a little bit. Like all plays are open to everything that he can do, as opposed to maybe McNamara, who might be able to do some limited things in the offense, but do them better. So, it also could be circumstance where, they go up 35-3 in the third quarter, and they're just trying to get up. They already won the game. They're just trying to get out of there with the win at the end of the day. Like when you're up 3 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
you're just trying to get out of there with the win, make sure nobody gets hurt at that point. Like that's what you're trying to do. So I don't know if those possessions that he had when he immediately came in, if that was part of what happened, where they're like, okay, we're up, we're just going to play the prevent, not give up anything deep, and just like I said, try to get out of here with the win. I told you the other day I was scared because I didn't know. I felt like because Wisconsin hadn't played, they were going to come out with their hair on fire, like playing. And okay, Trey. I'm just curious how they go forward. So the season's over, right? Season's over. I'm curious how they move forward. I feel like this entire staff should be gone, in my opinion. Like everybody has to go because everybody's a part of the problem. And Dre 408 says, I would like if Gaddis was the head coach. He can't pick a quarterback. So no, he can't be a head coach. If you're an offensive coordinator and you can't pick the right quarterback, no, you can't be a head coach. Like you have to do like that right first before you take the next step. Unless you're the dude from Arizona. I can't remember his name. He kept losing and somehow he got a head coaching job in the NFL. But yeah, I mean it's a sad day. Like Penn State lost to. Like it's a really weird day. Like it's just 2020, man. I think that's what I blame it on mostly. 2020.
It's been a tough year.
It's been a funky year. Like everything has been turned on its head. And then I saw that Indiana came out
and punched Michigan State.
Shutout at their place. Yeah, I just think there's a shift. I think there's a shift in the Big Ten. And I don't know what Michigan goes from here. I mean, I'm assuming, hey, you got all these young guys at this point. Go ahead and play them. See if they can develop, over the next 4 games. And I mean, no offense, but if I'm any upperclassman and I have a shot at going to the league, I'm shutting it down.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately, I'm shutting it down. So, I mean, the draft is in April. It's October, or actually, no, I'm sorry, it's mid-November. You got 5 months to get ready for that. Like, I'm just shutting it down, man. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. I hate to see the program look the way that it looks. I mean, I'm more scared of the kid. I'm more scared of McNamara than I am of Millen, to be honest with you. Because McNamara can throw the football.
Well, what's interesting, and one of the other commenters pointed this out, that Wisconsin might have been playing a prevent at that time.
Yeah.
But Joe was looking at that too when they pulled him, right? So it's not like Wisconsin just switched the defense when McNamara went in there. Joe must have been seeing some of those looks as well. And McNamara was just dragging the ball right in there.
Yeah, I think the problem is he doesn't see it, right? He doesn't see it. So, I mean, and I said that. I said I don't think he can read defenses. He's not a natural thrower of the football. He's a great athlete. I'm 100% sure of that. He's probably a tremendous athlete. But he's not a quarterback. I mean, he's probably an athlete playing quarterback. I mean, and you've seen that. You've had that from time to time. Guys who, you have the best athlete on your team. You basically just put the ball in their hands and you see what happens.
Yeah. That's more of the comments. Rick says, So some of the commenters have said Josh Gaddis give the head coaching job to Josh Gaddis. So that was the first one, but that's been said a couple times. I agree that Brady Hoke left a talented defense and a team that was good in the trenches. Okay. The 2016 team did not give up in games like the players are now.
Well, I think that team. So I believe that this team does not believe in the quarterback.
Okay.
I believe that. I don't believe they believe in Joe Milton. I don't believe the team does, just because of the way they responded when McNamara got on the field. I've never seen that before. Now, and sometimes in bench time, players get hyped, but when you're getting blown out and they bring in the backup quarterback, the backup quarterback is always like the most popular dude probably on the team.
Yeah.
Because everybody thinks he can do what he can do in practice. He probably plays really well in practice. I don't know what the reports are in regards to him, but I think he broke some records I saw last night in Nevada as a quarterback, which says a lot because Tate Martell had a bunch of records in Nevada playing. So, that says that's really well for him. But as soon as I think a lot of it was he got in there, he knew where he was going with the football the moment he got in the game.
He's very decisive with it.
Very decisive, and that's a good thing, and that's a bad thing, right? So, but I think you needed some type of juice somewhere, because they've just I've never seen a Michigan team get dominated in the on the offensive and defensive side of the football. I've never seen it like this. It's just they didn't. I felt like they knew they weren't going to win this game. I feel like they went into the game knowing that they weren't going to win.
Yeah. Also keep in mind, this would not have helped the offense, but Kwity Paye didn't play last night. Someone asked about that on Friday, and he was on the sideline. Kwity Paye on the defense. Kwity Paye.
Okay, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Okay, I was just pointing that out.
But it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, it's next man up, and it's defense's scheme, discipline, and effort. That's it. Some dudes are strong. It's not always about talent. If you can outwork talent all day long in any phase of life, including sports, you can always outwork talent. So, those two guys not playing, who cares? You now haven't, those guys behind them now have an opportunity to come in and play well and show what they can do. And they laid an egg.
Well, Alex, isn't that assuming you have the depth there to plug new guys in to do the job?
I would say, we've had a discussion about development. I don't know if these guys are being developed, but from a recruiting standpoint, yes. Because outside of Ohio State, Penn State, and Wisconsin, those teams are, you could readjust those teams for the past 3 or 4 years in regards to recruiting. They're always within 5 rankings of each other. Those three, they're always pretty close. I know we've had discussions about them not developing players. So yes, you can get the recruits, but if you're not developing the guys that you got, that's another problem. That's why I said I really hope they give the young guys the opportunity to play, to show what they can do, develop some game experience, get some snaps under their belt, and I just think it's just over. It's over. It's over.
Okay.
I'm sad to hear that, but it's over.
All right, we have some more folks come in. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Those are free. Please like the video. Likes are free. Right now I'm sitting at 443 subs. Hey, let's push it to 450. Lewis Papp says the whole coaching staff doesn't know how to coach. Dudek can't recruit.
That's not true. That's false.
Denzel
Go
Merritt
look at the
says,
rankings. Go look at the rankings. That's not true.
I agree with Dre 408. Don gotta go. Yeah, he's good, but not when we need him to be great. Lewis Papp says there was no receiver in the area by 10 yards on the second interception. Okay.
Which one was the second one?
That's when he threw it to the linebacker. I mean, you could see who he was looking at, but he didn't see the guy right there.
Oh, okay, I got you. Well,
yeah.
The funny thing is he's what, 6'4", 6'5"?
6'5".
He's supposed to see that. He's supposed to be looking down.
Yeah.
And that's like I said, he's just not a natural thrower of the football. You can play quarterback. Like, I give you a perfect, like, I brought this up before. Terrell Pryor, that's who he reminds me of. Remarkable athlete. Like, every time he stepped on the field, he was the best player on the field, but he was never a quarterback.
Yeah.
Although he played quarterback for 2+ years. He was not a quarterback. And I kind of feel the same way about Joe Milton, where he's probably the best athlete on the field every time he steps on the field. He probably is, but he's not a quarterback.
There were, piggybacking off that, there was another play that I thought was kind of telling, where he rolled out, and I think it was another tight end screen or something like that to Eubanks, and he held it too long. All he had to do was flick it to him, and he got pulled down. Then he flicked it, and I was like, "Dude, you should throw it to him earlier."
Oh, you're talking about when he rolled out to the right?
When he rolled out to the right, yeah.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I saw that.
Early in the game, just get it out, get it to him, let the guy make the play, and he held on to it, and he just kind of threw it as he was falling down, and it's like, dude, what are you doing? Denzel Merritt says, I feel like Joe can be really good, but the QB coaching isn't getting him there. Let's see.
Denzel, feelings are great. Facts are better. What are the facts? What are the facts? He outside of Andrew Luck. I mean, he really didn't develop Colin Kaepernick. Like, he threw him in there and he just balled out. But there was no development there whatsoever. So outside of, like, the best probably pro-ready quarterback of the modern day era, he has kind of fallen flat on his face in every situation he's been in. Like, those are the facts. I don't like it. I mean, I like it. From a personal standpoint, I like it. But, if you perform the way he's performed at any job, with the expectations, you're not performing. So either, like, something has to give. So, like I said, I wish he would stay. I mean, I'm hoping that he does stay for personal reasons. But from a coaching standpoint, I couldn't continue with the product that I'm seeing on the field. I couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to do it.
What's interesting is I was just thinking about the word propaganda, and going into this season, we were hearing so much about how, just like we heard about how Jim was the quarterback whisperer when he was coming in. Going into the season, we were hearing about how Joe could be the next Cam Newton. So I think you have to be careful about. You got to be careful about what the media says, and about what the pundits say, and all these stories that you get hit with when things start, because that could be all hype and propaganda. Denzel Merritt says, "Who would we replace Don with?" That's a good question. I don't know.
Great question. I mean, there are a bunch of bunch of guys you probably could replace Don with at this point. The way the defense looks, I think you could start. I mean, anybody is going to be better than the product that they're putting out in the field at this point. Anybody. It doesn't matter.
We got a little joke here. Alex, this show starts at 9:30. Hey, man, Alex might have been at the club last night turning up, in Florida.
I was out with my kids, and then I had a workout this morning, and I actually didn't even get the update. So when I got back from my workout, I just happened to open my phone because I didn't watch the Crawford fight last night. I missed the Crawford fight. I fell asleep early, so I was taking a look to see who won that fight, and then this popped up, and I'm like, okay, well, let's see what's up.
Yeah. Well, So first of all, Treppa, I'm happy anytime Alex comes through. So the last couple of weeks I did it after the game. Last night it was a night game, so anytime he comes through, it's cool. Dre says we ran the same plays from the last time we played Wisconsin. Okay.
I mean, you have the same offensive coordinator, so it's not the plays don't matter. It's how you run the plays that matter. The plays don't matter. I don't even know what he's talking about. Like that doesn't matter because you gave up 300 yards on the ground. So none of that matters at the end of the day. You give up 300 yards on the ground, I'm pretty sure you're going to lose that game 9 out of 10 times. No matter what plays you run on offense. Can't do that.
Yep. I see some new folks that come in. Please like the stream. Please subscribe to the channel. I'm at 444. Please help get me to 450. Lewis Papp says, you're right, Dre. They haven't changed a thing in 6 years.
That's not accurate. That's not accurate.
No, because they changed coordinators a couple times.
Yeah,
they changed coordinators.
Well, what I'm saying is that that's not accurate because they started out very well. Right, they started out ranking in the top 10 every year. I think they got a top 5 ranking once. But that's just not accurate. Like they have not. I haven't seen Michigan this bad in my entire lifetime, and I'm 39 years old. I've never seen them this bad.
Denzel Merritt says, "Yeah, I also think not having fans is affecting our play too." Not making excuses for us, but it's a big difference.
This is why I say Michigan fans are delusional. This is why. This is exactly why I say Michigan fans are delusional. Nobody else has fans. Not everybody, but everybody in the Big Ten, nobody pretty much has fans. So when you say, I'm not making excuses, yes, you kind of are making excuses.
Well, this would make sense if having that crowd noise would throw off the snap count of the other team.
It does not change the execution on the offense and defensive side of the football. If anything, it actually accents what you're able to do.
Dre says it has nothing to do with the QB. It's much deeper than that.
Expand on that. I don't know what that means. I mean, I agree, but I don't know what he's trying to get at.
I think he's saying,
he's saying the problem.
Joe isn't necessarily the problem. Sorry?
Is he saying the problems are deeper than the quarterback?
Yeah.
I got you.
Joe Milton is looking like John O'Corn, to be honest, and the backup came in like Peters and gave us a spark.
Yeah.
Now, okay. I don't know, because we honestly didn't get a good look at Peters because Peters got knocked out. Peters came in against Rutgers and he came in against Minnesota. In that Minnesota game, he was handing the ball off most of the game. So we honestly didn't get a good look at Peters. So just for clarity there. It sure would be interesting to know what other college coaches are saying in 20 to the 2021 QB commit, J.J. McCarthy. Okay. Well, someone speculated we've lost him with this.
I don't know what the reason why he committed to Michigan is. So, I mean, a lot depends on that. If it's a legacy thing, if it's I don't know. I don't know what reasons he committed to Michigan are. I have no idea. I just, if I'm him, I'm definitely taking a strong look at some other options. Because unless you're like Joe Benton, where you're athletic and you can get out the pocket, you're gonna get crushed. Like I don't know anything about JJ McCarthy. I don't know anything about him. I know I think he's a 5-star quarterback, but I don't know if he's a drop back passer. I don't know if he can run. I have no idea. But yeah, the offensive line is not very good. The defensive line is not very good.
John Galt says, fire AD on down, blow it up. So, hey, so this guy wants Warren Manuel out.
I mean, I don't think the AD really has anything to do with the product on the field, but by all means, go ahead. Fire the AD, which, I don't know if you fire the AD, are you talking about, all the other, collegiate Michigan sports that are affected by that? I just don't think that's a good idea because Michigan's doing very well in other areas outside of football. So I just think that's a dumb idea.
Well, the AD is also a business person. So the AD has to look at the bottom line and whether or not all the programs are funded and whether or not the department is losing money. And if people, in a non-COVID year, if the stadium is still selling out, then the AD would say, okay, well, I'm going to keep Jim there because they're still buying tickets, they're still buying merchandise.
Well, I don't think
lacrosse. They have money for lacrosse and golf. So
Michigan sells out anyway. It doesn't matter who the coach is.
Okay,
they sell out anyway. So I don't think that's ever been an issue. I think if you're speaking business wise, you really have to think outside the box because you're right. I mean, COVID has really screwed up a lot of things. So, I mean, it's not just a Michigan issue. Even in the SEC where, they're having like maybe 20-30% capacity fans, they're having issues funding other sports. So I just don't, business wise, I mean, it's just the time that we're living in right now. And I'm sure it will get better, hopefully eventually sooner rather than later, God bless. But it's a nationwide issue. It's not a Michigan issue.
Rick says the biggest problems are the offensive and defensive lines, and there is no quick fix. I'm gonna grab some more coffee, Alex. Go ahead and let us know what you think about that. Or anything.
They don't develop. They just don't develop at the end of the day, and that's what it boils down to. They have I believe they have the talent, 100%. I believe they have it, at least to be better than the product that they're putting out on the field now. I solely believe that, and when you have that disparity, it's just sometimes it just doesn't work, and I just don't think it's a good fit at the end of the day. I think the coaching staff, I think Harbaugh, the honeymoon excitement phase is worn off. And I know there have been some comments previously that, factually, from a factual standpoint, the longer he goes in this coaching tenure, the worse he has gotten. And it could be, it's definitely a developmental thing. And I just don't think that maybe he, as a leader, is cut out for the college game. So, and you're right, the offensive defensive line, that's not a quick fix. Not at all. I mean, you're talking about strength training, you're talking about coaching and development, and you have to get the right people in there to be able to do that. Obviously, you have to be willing to pay them, their worth. Because if I'm a coach if I'm a top 10 offensive line developmental coach, like, what's the reason that I'm going to Michigan? What's the reason? Heck, I mean, if I'm a head coach, what's the reason I'm going to Michigan? I mean, because the way it looks right now, from a talent standpoint, the cupboard's really bare there. Outside of that 16 team or the 17 team, I guess I would say. Which one was the revenge tour? Was that 18? Yeah, I mean, wow, seems like it was yesterday. Outside of the 18 team, they have just they look bad. They look very bad. So you're having to kind of come in and build this thing from the ground up. And, I've seen people in the comments previous talk about when I've made a comment that Ohio State is 10 years ahead of everybody else.
They love that one.
If you would allow me, I can give a full explanation as to why that is. And I can tie it into what's going on in Michigan as well. This is the reason why I say this. There have been comments that say, well, all you have to do is get a top recruiting class and blah, 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 right? Which might be true. The problem is that you are competing against everybody else who's been doing this at a higher level better than you. So you have to figure out how to do what they're doing, right? And if you look at the national championships, the national champions from 2002 all the way up until last year, there's a common theme: recruiting, development, recruiting, development, recruiting, development, recruiting, development. When you don't do that at a high level, you get the product that you get on the field.
Hold on.
And if it was as easy as everybody makes it out to be, then Michigan would be able, like, not only Michigan, SMU, Cincinnati, Texas would be able to do it, because Texas gets top 10 recruiting classes every year, top 5 recruiting classes every year, and they stink. So it's not as easy as everybody thinks it is.
Okay. We lost him. I was going to have him mute his mic while you were talking.
Oh.
Great. If you want to come back in, I'll get you in right now. We're going to go for probably about 20 more minutes. I have to get ready to go somewhere. Dre, if you want to come back in, come back in. But Alex, your point is that you can't do it in 1 year. You can't have one good recruiting class in 1 year and then catch what Ohio State has been doing over a series of years.
Because you are competing against, like, when you compete at that level, you're competing against not just Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, Florida, LSU, Texas, Oklahoma. You're going against those guys. So if you just think, I mean, if Ohio State just fell off the map, then yes, it would make sense, right? But there has to be it's like turning a ship, right? You can't turn a ship around by just turning the wheel. There's a gradual turn to go in the complete opposite direction. Like, you can't just turn the wheel and then the ship just goes in the other direction. It doesn't work that way. Like, Michigan's going in a direction and then able to turn that around. It's going to take some time. It takes time. It takes time. It's not immediate. And I know people think that it is, because I don't know why they think that it is, because there's no facts to prove that at all. There's none. There are no facts that prove that.
Okay. Hold on a second. You got a Badger fan here. Hard to imagine this game would get this bad if there were fans in the big house. Do you think that made a difference? Well, Alex doesn't think so.
No. I don't think so.
I'll be a little. I'll play devil's advocate and say maybe a little bit. With the band and all the fanfare, but again, it comes down to execution, like Alex said, and whether or not your players are ready to play.
If you're a bad football team, fans don't change that. And Michigan is a bad football team. They're not good at all. They're not good at special teams. They're not good at quarterback. They're not good at the offense or defensive line. They're not good at cornerback. They are not a good football team. Fans don't change that. If you're bad, you're just bad. Period. And right now, they're bad. A couple years ago, weren't bad. This year, bad.
Yakov 22, thank you for subscribing. I really appreciate it. I'm at 444 now, everyone. Let's see if I can get to 450 by the time we're done. Although it's not the case, U of M made it appear that nearly every Wisconsin defensive player will be a first-round pick. I guess that's a symptom of being bad. G too easy. I'm in tears. Abdul Gaines, thought you went to church or something, man. You disappeared. There's no excuses for how Michigan has played. Talent development, coaching hasn't lived up to expectations. Like Alex said, U of M is not being a football first institution. Jim doesn't coach like it's 2020. He's stuck in the 90s. Well, we're stuck somewhere.
Well, I don't believe that, because he's still able to get recruits. And I mean, they have a spread offense. So I don't know if I necessarily believe that. I think that, like I said, at the end of the day, I believe it comes down to, are you invested from an emotional standpoint? Because players will see that, and are you able to develop? And I just don't think they do any of those things very well right now.
I think we are a very good team talent-wise. And we have terrible coaches. From a Buckeye perspective, I've never seen the program so low as it is now, even during Rich Rod. One of the reasons is because this was supposed to be the savior. If you go back to his initial press conference, Jim did say, hey, I don't want to be that. Don't call me that. He did say that. It's not my money. That said, I'm unsure that in a time of such depleted athletic revenue, if U of M will be willing to pay Harbaugh a multi-million-dollar buyout. Okay. All right. Here's one. Enough with this Ohio fan. He is just negative and already made his point. All right, Tron. Let me say that I appreciate Alex being here. Certainly, the conversation will be different if our team was performing. And here on this channel, I want to have an objective point of view. Certainly, it sucks that our team is underperforming, but Alex is welcome here.
Tron. It might look like it's negative, but your team's bad, man. If your team was good, we're having a different conversation, right? I mean, if you shit on the field, we're not going to say it's sunshine outside. Sorry, I didn't mean to curse.
No.
If there's crap on the field, we're not going to lie and say it's sunshine outside. we're going to say it's crap on the field. That's what it is.
And the other thing is, any Michigan fans are welcome to come in onto the panel. You're welcome to come up and give your piece. You don't have to show your face. You can use your avatar. So it's not like I just have Alex here and I'm blocking everybody else out.
No, I love conversation.
I do ask that you keep it civil and you play nice if you come up, but other people are welcome.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm only looking at it from a football perspective. Am I an Ohio State fan? Absolutely. If Michigan was good, would it change what I'm saying? Yes, because Michigan would be good, so I'd be commenting on them being good versus them being bad. I hope everybody can follow that.
Okay, here's one. Alex, what do you think we should do overall?
I would do a mutual separation in regards to Harbaugh, and I would start over. I would start, if I was the AD, I would bring Jim in and say, hey, we appreciate everything you've done, but right now it's just not working. It's making you look bad. It's making us look bad. Like the relationship has gone in a very bad direction. And I'm 100% sure, there's mutual respect on both sides, right? Like, I mean, the dude grew up across the street from the big house, right? They love him, he loves them. Sometimes things just don't work out. Sometimes they just don't work. And that's not to say he's a bad coach. That's not to say Michigan's a bad program. I just don't feel like it was just a very good fit long term. It happens, right? It happens sometimes. So I would, if I was the AD, I would start my coaching search right now. Not publicly, but privately. I'm starting my coaching search right now. Tom Herman could be somebody I might look at, even though he's not producing in Texas. He's out at the end of the year. I'm pretty sure of that. But he's shown the ability to recruit at a very, very, very high level. And so when, we've had conversations before about what coaches that are going to be looked at. I need everybody to understand that there's going to be openings in a lot of programs this year. So you're going to be bidding against, if USC has a bad year, you're going to be bidding against them. You're going to be bidding against Texas and maybe some other programs. And those are blue blood programs as well. So you have to keep that in consideration. But I would start my coaching search right now, and see who I can bring in. And I said this a couple of weeks ago. You guys got to get out of this Michigan man phase, right? You got to get out of it. It's not a real thing. The Michigan man was from Ohio, so it's not even a real thing. It's not even a real thing. Like, just bring in the best coach, the best staff to start building this thing from the ground up. Because right now, you guys are at the bottom. So you probably need to look at it from a standpoint. We need somebody. We need a program builder. That's what Michigan needs right now. They need a program builder. And 6 years is not going to cut it. And you also have to set the expectation. You have to figure out as a university, what do you want? Do you want to be competitive in the Big Ten, or do you want to win national championships? Because if you want to be competitive in the Big Ten, then you're looking for a certain type of coach. If you want to win national championships, you're looking for another type of coach. So you need to figure out what Michigan would like to do first. What is it that in 10 years, where do they want to be? And then make decisions based upon that. But if I was them, I want to win a national championship. I don't know the reason why people play college football, but to win a national championship. And with the money and resources that Michigan has, I'm going out and I'm going to find the best coach possible. I'm going to find somebody who's young, somebody who's energetic, somebody who's innovative. And I'm going to pay them a crap ton of money. And they're probably going to be there for, I don't want a coach that's in and out in 6 years. I want somebody who's there for 12, 15 years. And I want to win a national championship. So like my decisions will be based upon that.
All right, Alex, you just set up a joke, man. You didn't know you did it, but you did it. Hey, our number one concern is winning the Big Ten, and all that other stuff is going to work itself out. We want to win the Big Ten first, and then all the other stuff will work itself out.
I mean, yes, right? That's obvious. But let's be honest. Let's have an honest conversation. The Big Ten runs through Ohio State. So unless you're coming for them, none of that means anything. And I would say that if it was Penn State, if it was Wisconsin, if it was Indiana, if they're at the top dominating the same way, if Indiana was Ohio State, I'd be saying the same thing. You got to come for Indiana because they're kicking the crap out of everybody. Right now, it just happens to be Ohio State. So you have to come for them. And it's going to take some time. It's going to take time. Everybody needs to understand that it takes time. Think about how bad Indiana's been and how long it's taken to get their program just respectable, just at a respectable level in the conference. We're not even talking, winning a Big Ten championship and then a national championship. We're not even talking that. It's taken them 4 or 5 years just to get respectable, and then you take next steps after that. But yeah, that's funny. That's hilarious. I mean, that's an obvious comment. Yes, you have to win the Big Ten to win a national championship. Yes.
That was one of Brady's classic lines. There were many. Okay, so folks, I'm at 4:45. Help push me to 4:50. We're gonna go for about maybe 15 more minutes. Then I have to get up and run somewhere. So we're gonna power through these comments, Alex, and let's see what we can do in the last 15 minutes. Austin Sargent says Carlo Kemp is too nice to be playing in the middle of Michigan's defense. Michigan needs guys with a mean streak in the middle. I agree. We need someone. We need a crazy guy on our roster.
You need smart people. Because if you're playing middle linebacker, you're the quarterback of the defense. You need to be smart.
Carlo's a defensive tackle.
Oh, okay. I thought he was a linebacker. I'm sorry.
Abdul Gaines is back. He said, I would not fire Ward. He hired Turner Gill. Oh, at the University of Buffalo and won a MAC title. He was the AD at UConn when their men's basketball team headed by Kevin Ollie won the national title. Okay, so maybe you keep Ward in there. They have the talent to be the second best team in their division. Right now, I don't know. Huh?
Do they? I don't know if they do.
Eric Groce, as a Michigan fan, this is probably the worst I've seen it. Team just looks like they are not inspired at all. I'd agree with that. That's on the coaching staff. Did anyone see the argument between a defensive back and Zordich? I did not see that.
I did. It was great.
Oh, Eric Groce says, tells me all I need to know about where our coaching staff is at. Abdul Gaines says, however, I do think Ward has to put a stamp on the football program soon and in a hurry, one that will forever change the direction and expectations of the U of M football inside the institution. Denzel Merritt says, we don't have no heart. We're playing like some girls. Eric says, I'm definitely letting Cade start the next game. Have to see what you have. I agree.
Is that McNamara's first name? Cade?
Cade McNamara, yeah.
Okay.
Dre says OSU is 20 years ahead of everyone else. You might have Jedi mind tricked Dre there, Alex. Denzel Merritt says, like Joel Klatt said, Ohio State has been to the title game and the Big Ten title game at least 10 to 12 times this decade, and Michigan hasn't been since I don't know when. Joel never lies. Well, since the Big Ten title game was instated, Michigan's never been. So Michigan's never been to the Big Ten title game.
Yeah.
Zach James says both lines of scrimmage not getting it done. The defensive line is not getting anywhere near the pressure they need, and the O-line is not getting any push off the ball. No disagreements there.
None.
Among all other issues, of course, Abdul Gaines. He's talkative this morning. Of course, Abdul Gaines is always talkative. The U of M job for the next head coach has a lot of work in front of him. Much is made of OSU, but we're getting pounded by Wisconsin. We've got one win at home against OSU/MSU combined with Jim as the head coach. Austin Sargent says, do you think Michigan needs a defensive-minded head coach or an offensive-minded head coach? That's a good question.
So the coach itself is just the kind of CEO of the program. So whether or not he's offensive minded or defensive minded doesn't really matter. It's it's the coordinators that he brings in that matters. Because Jim is not coaching most coaches outside of like Lincoln Riley, they're not, and maybe Ryan Day, they're not coaching one side of the football, right? They're just the overseer to make sure that things are running smoothly. So like I said, I'm of the mindset you got to bring in somebody who's going to develop these kids that you guys are getting. Maybe Josh Gaddis' scheme works, but we'll never know because like on that side, they're not being developed. Same thing with Don Brown. We'll never know because these guys aren't being developed. Scheme is just one aspect of their job. So, yeah.
Everyone, wow, some more people are coming in. If you want to make a donation to the channel, I just dropped my Cash App in. I'm at 445 in terms of subs. Please subscribe. Yeah, we're going to power through the rest of these comments, and then I have to go to brunch. I was going to say something based upon that. I forgot. Oh, I know what it was. Yeah, a major part of the head coach, they're the CEO, and someone pointed out a little while ago that Jim's son, Jay, and I'm not piling on Jay, I'm not piling on Jim, but Jay's coaching the running backs, and that's highly suspicious to me, seeing as how we had Ty Wheatley at one point coaching the running backs. And so the head coach has to make the competent choices to put the staff together. So.
And I mean, I believe we said Ty Wheatley went and got a head coaching job somewhere else, right?
He's at Morgan State right now.
As a head, he got the opportunity as a head coach. So like, you take that opportunity.
Yeah,
you take the opportunity to be a head coach where if you're a running back coach and you get the opportunity to be a head coach somewhere, you probably take that opportunity.
Yeah, okay, I agree with that. But if Ty Wheatley goes, you got to replace him with someone who can coach that group up. And I'm not saying Jay can't do it, but I don't know. It's a head scratcher.
Yeah. So unless the offensive line does their job, we'll never know what the running backs can do.
That's a good point. David Lang says, as a Buckeye, I relish they would get rid of Harbaugh and the entire coaching staff. I would like to see a great rivalry game again. And right now, it's just sad to see how weak the Big Ten has become. So
I believe that. I believe the Big Ten's actually pretty strong. Wisconsin's tough. Maryland is coming. You're hearing it here first. Maryland is coming. They are coming. Indiana's good. Purdue is good. Do you remember a couple weeks ago that I was talking about the quarterback from Indiana who was slinging it all over Ohio State? He transferred to Northwestern. I didn't know that. Ramsey. I didn't know that. But no, the Big Ten is in a very good shape. It's just that the typical blue bloods of the Big Ten are not very good right now.
Yeah. Okay. This might take up the rest of the time, Alex. My prediction is that in 2 years, Michigan is going to be a threat to Ohio. And, and I know I'm going to pick up my bobblehead for this one. And I know it's close, but I think Cade or McCarthy can do it after a little experience. You marinate on that while I run through the rest of these. Rick Van Busker says, Jim, my nephew was 24 in his first year of medical school. The last time U of M beat Ohio State was his sophomore year in high school, the time before 2003. Dr. JC said the next coach should either be a Clemson coordinator.
I think he's talking about Brett Venables, who coaches the defense at Clemson. He's really good. He's really good.
Oh, yeah, we really need Peppers back. Jim's fingerprints are all over the offense, even though Josh is supposed to have complete autonomy this year. Wisconsin fan here. And from the outside perspective, Harbaugh hasn't been the same since the fourth down call versus OSU. Agreed. I'll probably shoot a video on that. He changed his offense and gave Gaddis too much control. And the defensive backs need to adjust clearly. That's the last comment right now. We have about 3 minutes left. Alex, you want to respond to Michigan will be back in 2 years. You want to respond to that? That'll take us out.
I mean, yeah, they'll be back to get their butts kicked. Like, it would take us another hour for me to even respond to that. So that's just, again, delusional, man. You guys are delusional. Like, just completely delusional. If you think so I look at it like this. So if you think one player can change a program, you got problems. If you take Justin Fields off Ohio State, they're still undefeated. Outside of like the one loss that Notre Dame beat Clemson, I feel like if Trevor Lawrence would have played in that game, Notre Dame still would have beat them because they gave up like 40 plus points. You can't do that against anybody. It's going to be very hard to win games like that. But, teams are great teams, not because of a quarterback, because it's the way that teams are built. The quarterback is just accenting on everything, and he makes up for a lot of mistakes sometimes. But if you have a great team, one player is not going to make or break that.
All right. Hey, I'm 2 away from 450. Thank you to everyone who subbed. We're going to take a look at the remaining 4 games, and then we'll close it out because I have to run. So we got, let me take this comment down so you can see the whole thing. There we go. So we're going to Rutgers next week, assuming no COVID meltdown. Penn State's coming in. Surprisingly, Penn State they were winless yesterday. Maryland, assuming they're back from their COVID issues, Maryland is coming on December 5th. And then, do we even need to play this game? Going down to the horseshoe. So those are the remaining games. Let me pull up, because it's only appropriate to go out Big Ten scores with yesterday's games. Let's see. And then we'll wrap up. So screen share.
Like, I feel like if I'm Ohio State, I don't want to play that game because I'm afraid that somebody might get hurt.
So for the Big Ten yesterday, actually on Friday, Iowa beat Minnesota 35-7. Let's see. Is that let me take the schedule down.
And I want to point something out. And
So
for clarification purposes, the Minnesota win looks really bad for Michigan right now.
Yeah.
I'm even shocked how bad Minnesota is. I actually thought they were going to be really good this year.
So Iowa beat Minnesota 35-7. Indiana beat Michigan State 24-zip. Northwestern beat Purdue 27-20. Nebraska beat Penn State 30-23. So Penn State's still winless. Still winless. Illinois got a win 23-20 over Rutgers. And Wisconsin came in and laid the smackdown on us 49-11. So, Alex, with that, do you have any parting words?
Yeah, man, let the young kids play. The season's pretty much over. So, like I said before, man, let some of these young guys, freshmen and sophomores, get on the field and get them some reps for next year. If they end up staying, if they don't end up staying, that's time will tell. But if lightning strikes and I don't know, COVID goes away tomorrow, and I'm trying to think of every best case scenario that just would never happen on this planet. But if all those things happen and this coaching staff is still here next year, get these guys on the field, get them some reps, get them some experience, because you're not playing for anything. You're not playing for anything. So, give them a shot, see what they can do.
Okay. All right. Well, everyone, we're gonna wrap up there. I'm at 4:49, so if you're watching this on the playback, please like the stream and please subscribe to the channel. Help get me to 450 and beyond. Hey, folks, this is we're not talking about anything here.
Abdul, you're always welcome. You're still welcome, my brother. You are welcome. Whenever you want to come to the dark side, you are welcome.
Abdul and his brother Raheem, they have a habit of switching teams. One year they're a Patriot fan, the next year they're a Buccaneers fan. Abdul again used to be a Raiders fan, so they have a long history of turncoating. But okay, so folks, we're not talking about anything here no one else isn't talking about. Ward Manuel's thinking about this. Jim is sitting in his office thinking about this. Colin Cowherd is talking about this. Joe Klatt's talking about this. So, I'm a Michigan alum, but again, you have to talk about things realistically and in their entirety. And that's what I feel like that's what we do. So, we're not doing anything no one else isn't doing in doing this. And that doesn't mean I don't love the program. It doesn't mean I don't want to see the program succeed. So we're going to stop here, turn Jimmy back around. Alex, thanks for coming on. Appreciate your feedback and commentary as always. I will look for a pre-recorded video this week and probably the same routine of a pregame live stream on Friday and then a post-game live stream. Please like this video. Please like the stream. Please share it. And please subscribe to my channel. I know it's hard to do, everyone, but go blue. And as always, remember that your attitude determines your altitude. Take care, and I'll talk to you the next time. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and we'll talk to you the next time. All right, Alex. All right, everyone.
Brother.
Peace. And thank you to Abdul Gaines for your commentary.